So, good afternoon, grade 9. I welcome you once again to your debate class for this school year. And we are going to have the official discussions started today, which will be followed later on by a few, if not many, trial debate runs between two persons, between you and a classmate. Like, if we manage to finish the discussion before the time, then we can probably hold a debate round between Kathy and Ben. How does it sound? How does that sound? Is that all right with you, Kathy versus Ben?
No, it doesn't sound good at all,
To
sir.
be followed by Al and Shalila.
No, Sir Alan, Shalila first.
So we begin. So that's going to be our order of debating pairs.
No, sir.
Kathy. Anyway, this is still for a trial run, a sample debate, just like what King and Harvey had last week. So this is going to be a sample discussion, and I'll do my best to finish the discussion in 15 minutes. Hopefully, we could finish the discussion in 15 minutes so that you will have more time to do debate among yourselves. So again, as the both of them will be followed by who was it? Uh, what's next? Trixley versus Alexandra.
Alex.
Because next to Trixley and Alexandra would be um what's the- Ken versus Kent Marcinilia. And next to Ken and Kent would be um Kim versus Hero. You condition yourselves now. You condition yourselves. Because that's our sample pair up for this afternoon. Anyway, you will not be debating on a topic which is unrelatable. I'll do my best to craft a topic which you can actually find yourselves relating with. I'll give you a relatable topic. See, look at Kathy and Ben. They're already taking down notes now.
Sir.
Yes?
Sir. Is
Yeah?
it topic? The topic is this.
Yes, Alex. I sorry, yes, Alessandra.
Is the topic the same for everyone, sir?
No. Each pair will actually have a topic. I would not want to give you the same pair under the same topic so as to have a variety of arguments and opinions being shared this afternoon.
Is it like easy lang?
Yeah, easy ones. I never give difficult topics. I mean, since when did I give a difficult topic?
Well,
I did not want to give diagramming. Diagramming just came out in the book, so let's do diagramming. I hope you have already received the modules for debate. Have you received now your respective modules? Lesson 1 in debate actually goes with the the definition, distinctions, and relations of debate with other sciences. We begin with defining argumentation. As said, argumentation is actually an art. It is an art. Anything that is described to be an art is one that follows a particular style or technique. It's a skill. And by the time that skill is being shown or manifested, you incorporate some style or technique into it. That makes it an art. But this art tries to influence others. Through what medium? Reason, discourse. So there is a matter of exchanging opinions based or founded on good reasoning, analysis. Therefore, when people submit themselves for argumentation, they do not just simply say anything at random. They speak, and what they say is founded on reasons. That in effect could influence others. And by influence, others could actually eventually agree with you, or the matter of influence could be you gave them the opportunity to speak for themselves and that they will not agree with you. That is still an art of influencing other people. The goal of argumentation. Argumentation is the process of influencing the belief or behavior of other people, your hearer or your reader, through spoken or written speech, by supplying him with reasons and stirring his feelings. So there again, it could be that you have a reader who could be influenced by your opinions. It's in the form of writing, or it could be in the form of speech, as in this form, this set up in debate. And then argumentation can be done in two ways. You can do argumentation by following rules, while following a format, and that is how. That is what we call as, how do we call it? Debate. Whereas, if you do argumentation and it's not founded on anything at all, if you do argumentation and it sounds as though you are coming in informally, that is verbal wrangling. For students, what we would like you to develop is the skill on debate, not on verbal wrangling. I mean, we would not want you to just simply butt in when someone is trying to speak himself up or herself up. We want you to understand that for you to also be understood, you should, at some point, spend some time listening to other people so that when your turn comes, others will also listen to you. That's one of the considerations in debate. You take turns. And in fact, that's why there are formats. There are a lot of formats available. Another thing, when people do debate, they're actually doing a formal controversy. They follow particular restrictions, like on what they should say and how they should say it. There are formats that prohibit the use of vulgar words. Or if not, so many of the debate formats prohibit the use of vulgar words. There may be a few that allow it, but quite a number of formats would not allow that you curse other people or that you say something that's a vulgar expression. Then again, because there is a level of formality that's being followed in debate. It's different from verbal wrangling. And if people do verbal wrangling, no one is there to control what's going on. And we, like what I already emphasized, we do not want students to develop that skill or to practice the skill of verbal wrangling. What we want to get from you is your skill on debate. And Kathy and Ben can't hold themselves anymore. They can't anymore wait to show to you how ready they are for our sample debate round this afternoon. Next to them would be Al and Shalayla. The excitement in the face of Al is something that I can already feel from here. As well as from Shai. Even if Shai has turned off her camera, I know that there in her house, she's already kicking a lot of furniture out of excitement. Don't worry, you will not end up being frustrated today because I really give you the chance to debate. Imagine that. Ken has a message for Ken Persinilia. Is Ken already here? Okay. I hope that Ken can read the message of Ken. According to Ken, Kent, you should be prepared. Let's go now with the two methods of approach in the work of argumentation. There are two methods that people can incorporate when they do argumentation. They could either use conviction or persuasion. When people use conviction, they're actually tapping into the mental faculty of their opponents as well as that of their readers. When they rely on conviction, they speak in an intellectual manner because everything they're saying is founded on facts. Nothing is guided by opinions or pure sentiments. That is the case though for persuasion. If people rely on persuasion only, that would make them sound sympathetic, emotional, as they're going to tap into the emotional faculty of their opponents or of their readers or listeners. There are downsides though if this is just what they're going to use. For instance, if debaters rely on conviction only in conviction, that would make them sound too intellectual, which means that there are just a selected few from the audience who might be able to relate to what the speaker is saying. Why? 90% of the listening population, I tell you this, when people do debate, 90 to 95% of the listening population get to be more impressed if you deliver with emotions. However, if you deliver using only this, intellect, others would find themselves unrelated. Others could find themselves quite distant from what you're sharing. They could not probably all the while relate from you because you'll sound too intellectual for them. Whereas, if you also if you only speak with persuasion as your only mode of argumentation or approach of argumentation, that will also more or less compromise the logic of the arguments you're saying. Because all the while, you are just after of how emotional and emphatic you're going to sound. Even if it's going to appeal so much to your listeners, like they're going to be so impressed. For instance, we should not allow divorce. Why? Just imagine the children who will be affected from this. Imagine them growing up with no father with them, or a mother who is not with them. I mean, would you want to have a community that's filled with many broken families? And the audience be like, that's the 90 to 95% of the population. Thank you, Ken. I practiced that. I practiced my step. Thank you, Harvey. Thank you so much, Harvey. I say Harvey? Harl, thank you so much, Harl. Thank you, Harl. However, the 90 to 95% are the ones who will clap because that percentage of the listening population relies so much on emotions. And yes, you would sound so good because you're tapping into emotions. But the problem is you might have compromised the logic behind the arguments you're saying. Rape victims, for instance. This house believes that rape suspects should be placed on lethal injection. So they should be penalized with lethal injection. And then the arguer spoke with persuasion only. So it sounded like this. Yes. The rape suspect should be killed. He deserves it. He really deserves it. He did something so wrong and he should be punished. Though the rape victim might be alive, but he took the chance for the rape victim to enjoy her life. He should be punished. Listeners, 90-95%? They'll clap. But if you listen carefully and analyze what has just been said, it doesn't make so much sense. There wasn't even a good argument that was said. It did not explain why lethal injection should even be used. There wasn't much sense that was said. But to the 90 to 95% of the population, it sounded good because of the emotions used by the speaker. Persuasion was the only method used by the speaker. And look at what happened. The content of what's supposed to be delivered has been compromised. That's not what we want you to do. Though in debate, you only have two methods of approach to argumentation as conviction and persuasion, as we are going to be debaters, our goal is to strike a balance between these two. To balance them. Meaning, there may be situations when we debate where what's demanded is we show emotions. However, we make sure that what we are going to say still makes sense. We don't also want someone to speak in a very bland expression that people might find it quite weird listening or looking at you. Like for instance, we should not allow death penalty in the Philippines because it has deterred crimes. It has not deterred crimes at all. Another thing is, if death penalty will be imposed here in the Philippines, it will just bring about more issues. And there are just so many problems already that the country is facing. If someone speaks in that manner, as there's no life, I mean, who would be so interested to listen to you? So then again, our goal is to strike a balance. That we do persuasion and conviction, and that we have to look at the situation and what it means. When we should speak in an intellectual manner, we must not forget that the listening population is composed of emotional people. We should not forget to try to tap into their emotions, so as for us to get their sympathy without compromising the contents of our speech. I know that this is better said than done. What I'm saying now is easier said than being carried out. And for that, it is for that very reason that we are offering this debate class. It is for that very reason that this afternoon we're going to do a trial debate round. So that we can see how Ben and Kathy are going to hopefully strike a balance between persuasion and conviction. On how Al and Shalila would be able to strike a balance between both. Or will just be one of the two that each of them is actually going to use. I like the suggestion from Al. Rafael versus Alex. And then later on, we just might get the news, isang estudyante sinaksak na kanyang kapatid nang dahil sa isang debate round. Anyway, the purpose of this debate is purely for academic reasons, and that it is for the skill of exchanging arguments to be developed. King, take note. You leave meeting everyone. Take note, King, last week, you panicked. Remember that, King? You panicked last week. Kent, can you hear me, Kent? Kent Marcinilia, can you hear me? Try unmuting yourself, Kent. Okay. Kent, I hope you're aware that Ken Robertson will have a We are now then going to relate argumentation to two branches of study. We have logic and psychology. What is the significance of argumentation to logic? Or in the other way around, what makes logic significant to argumentation? Logic is the science of how people think. That's the simplest definition of logic. It tries to investigate the process of thinking or inference
that people employ. The established connection between logic and argumentation is that by the time you know how people possibly think, you can actually predict questions that they might throw into you before you subject yourself to a debate round. This actually has been our practice in debate. Once we are met with a proposition or a topic to debate on, we try to weigh the pros and cons. Remember that, familiar with that style? You try to weigh in the pros and cons. Doing this is trying to see what others could think regarding a particular topic. That's with the use of logic. In the same way, argumentation can also be related to psychology, as psychology is the science of the human mind or soul and its activities and capacities. Knowing the phenomenon of human consciousness, emotions, reactions to circumstances, the skill in argumentation also tries to bring out your capacity to gauge how you should respond given that your opposing arguer's behavior already shows. Like for instance, if you notice that your opposing arguer has lost its track in the exchange of arguments, you might feel the need to throw in more questions with the hope that eventually that opposing arguer fails to find its way back to the track that would allow your opponent to win. So it's gauging what you can do given a situation. And that gauging is what you could learn from psychology. So true enough, argumentation can really be related to psychology and logic. The process in the work of argumentation, there are four stages in this process. When people do argumentation, they do invention, selection, arrangement, and presentation. They begin with the invention or the determination of ideas which they will use, or an invention of ideas, which means they will have a list of possible ideas which they will present in an attempt to defend themselves. Next to that, they will now see which in that list stands to be the strongest argument or idea, and which ones appear to be the weakest arguments. Next would be arrangement. They will now try to organize what they'll say. The presentation stage allows you to now speak and deliver your ideas so that you can be heard, or if you put it into writing, so that your ideas will be read and understood. So those are the four works in the process of argumentation. Anyway, the specifics of the works of the processes in the works of work of argumentation can be found in your notes. Then we are down to the last part now of our discussion, with last part, so we can really do a debate round. The nature of natures of argumentation. Argumentation has three natures. What are these? Argumentation can be fundamental. It can also be universal. At the same time, it can also be indispensable. The fundamentality of argumentation tells us that it's innate for us to argue. It's part of human nature to argue. Humans as we are, we have the tendency to find ourselves, we have the tendency to make our ideas stand out. Or that we would really feel that what we want, what we believe, is what we should follow. By the time we wake up in the morning and then we ask ourselves, should I go to school? No, I will not go to school. I just be absent today. But why should I be absent? No, but why should I go to school? What will I get? The moment we try to introspect, that's actually a proof to the fundamental nature of debate. It's inherent in all of us. That is why even if some of you would say, No, sir, I am not a debater, sir. No, sir, I don't debate, sir. No, sir, I am scared, sir. No, sir, it's GG already. In each of you lies a sleeping debater that just needs to wake up. And now is the time to wake up. Now is the time for that debater to wake up and say to the world that you can debate. Because then again, it's part of you. It's part of who you are. You are born part of human nature. The next nature of argumentation is universal. Argumentation, take note, I'm talking about argumentation. Argumentation is universal, meaning it can take place almost anywhere. Even when you're in the bathroom or when you're in the restroom, when you're eating or taking your meals, when you're in your bedroom, when you're on the streets, expect argumentation may take place. You may not argue with another person, but you can argue with yourself. Who among you here have tried doing that? You talked with yourself in order to arrive at a particular decision. Like, what should I use today? What should I wear today? No, I'll not wear that. Wait, but it actually looks nice. That is already argumentation. Diba? That's normal, and that's normal. That does not make you crazy. That is not a, well, of course, unless you've been doing it outside of the context of the normal. Like, for instance, when you go to the street, you're walking by the road, and then you start doing something like, hi to me? No, hi to. That's a different case. That's not argumentation. That's just being a pure lunatic. To talk with oneself, to try to arrive at a decision, is already a proof of argumentation. And it can happen anywhere. That aspect of argumentation happening almost anywhere is the universality of argumentation. Lastly, argumentation is also seen as indispensable. There is this indispensability that we get to learn from argumentation, meaning it can't be avoided. Look at how closely tied these natures of argumentation are. They're so close with each other. For instance, it's fundamental, it's inherent with us. That's why we tend to argue with ourselves anywhere. Universal. And since it can happen anywhere, we should be ready because we just might not be able to avoid it. Indispensable. That's how closely knit these natures of argumentation are. And that concludes the discussion. What did I tell you? I'll try to finish the discussion so that we'll still have debate rounds to be done this afternoon. Do we have some questions? I'm open to some questions. Please, raise your questions if you have questions. Anybody? Because if there's none, I think you know what's going to happen next. See, Kathy has now turned off her camera temporarily because she's setting up her room for this debate round. She is. She just told me about that one in a private message. She sent me a private message. Sir, I'm setting up my room for a while. Kath? Them? Because, where are the other two? Al and Shalayla are already, look at Al. Al has already gone out of the house. He's planning to go out of the house. He is ready himself. I can't imagine how excited Al is. Shai? What about you, Shai?
Okay.
See, according to Harl, Al was actually inviting his neighbors. We begin this sample. Take note, it's a sample debate round. You don't have to worry in case you feel like you haven't really done much yet. It's normal because we have just started the debate round. Wait, Kent is wearing the school uniform. I just noticed it. Kent is really wearing the polo, the school uniform of IA. So, I'd like to request Kathy and Bem to unmute themselves.
Sir, it's embarrassing because it's recorded.
Bem?
It's embarrassing, sir, because it's
I can hear you, Bem.
It's embarrassing, sir, because it's
Can you hear
recorded.
me? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Bem, I can't hear you.
Sir, it's embarrassing because it's
Ay, Bem, you're
recorded.
doing it intentionally, Bem, no? You're just opening your mouth, but you're not actually producing any sound. Hello?
My dad.
Wait. Wait.
Can you hear me? Everyone, except
Yes,
sir.
ma'am. I can.
Then why can't, sir?
I can't hear Ben.
You can't? Yeah, sir. It's...
Ask me again, ma'am.
We can't hear Ben.
Wow.
What's wow? I
Sir.
can't hear you.
Bam, we cannot hear.
Is Ben talking? No, I can't hear Ben.
There.
Oh,
Can't hear you,
Bem's
Bem.
voice turns into girl. The girl.
Bem,
Sir.
Kathy.
Sir, it's embarrassing because it's recorded.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. There's no need to be embarrassed because everybody is going through this for a first time experience. It's all right, Bem. Anyway, Bem, everybody will have his or her turn soon. It's just that for now, since Kathy volunteered earlier, I'm giving you the chance to really do it first. Kathy was the one who volunteered for the both of you.
No, sir. I didn't.
You did. Even if you have to ask Harl. Harl, di ba? Kathy volunteered earlier.
No, if you recorded it, sir, then we'd have solid proof.
So what's going to happen is Kathy and Bem, each of them will be given a minute. And then the others are requested to put themselves on mute. And then, anyway, I'll still give you a few minutes to plan on what you'll say. I'll give a topic. I'll give you perhaps 3 minutes. 3 minutes to think of ideas that you can say for this afternoon. Kathy, you're going to agree with the topic, with the proposition. Vem, you are going to disagree with it.
Sir, not Bam, sir. Not
It's all right. It's all right. Again, Kathy, you're going to agree with the proposition, with the topic. Vem, you're going to disagree. All others, feel free to just listen because your turn will come soon. So what's going to happen again is I'll give both of you 3 minutes. After the 3rd minute, we'll start with Kathy. She'll speak for 1 minute. After she delivers her speech in 1 minute, Vem will have 1 minute to raise as many questions as she can to Kathy. And their exchange of questions, and that's their exchange. After which, Vem will have her 1 minute to speak. Once her 1 minute of speech is done, Kathy will also have 1 minute to raise as many questions as she can to them. And Al, Shalayla, the same instructions apply to the both of you. Ready? Kathy, Vem, are we ready? Of course, they've been ready since last year. Topic. I suggest you write down the topic. Where's the clock? Okay. This house. Here's the topic. This house removes assignments and homeworks for students. This house removes assignments and homeworks for students, which means that, Kath, you agree with that idea. You would not want to have assignments and homeworks. In your case, Vem, you want students to still have homeworks and assignments. Your 3 minutes to prepare starts now. For the others, no coaching, no coaching. You might want to also try to jot down ideas and information.
Di ba? Sinabi ko ay tayo, magkakaroon tayo nito oral kanina. Sinabi ko, hindi. Ha?
Can you all still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I think next to this would be Kent and Ken. Ken? Hello, Ken? What happened to your audio,
Yes,
Ken?
sir.
Okay. Okay. The network is unstable. From your
It's
side there,
unstable, sir.
it's all right, but you sound already fine. In your case, Kent Barcinilia. Kent Barcinilia, can we hear from you?
Sir?
Okay, your audio is also fine. So next would be, or Al Shalaila, ready?
No, sir.
Of course, you're always ready. That's what Marl said. To Kathy and Vem, you have less than 2 minutes.
Ang sinabi ni Joanna at ni Jonah ay magkapareho lang. You are in the first part. Ayoko nang marinig yun na. Ayoko yung tungkol sa...
1 minute more.
Physical ni Usman. You proceed to some parts of the story now. Charles Godwin. Go, Charles.
Less than 20 seconds.
Wow! Ang tawag doon. Love at first sight. Normal yun. Lalo tayo mata. Ha? Okay.
5,
Salamat, Charles.
4,
Mabawi si Charles.
3,
Kahit nawala
2,
for a while.
1. Time is up. Again, our topic for this afternoon, I'd like to request Kathy and Vem to unmute themselves. To remind everyone, our topic in this afternoon's debate round is, this house believes that assignments and homeworks should be, this house believes that assignments and homeworks for students should be removed. We would like to begin with Kathy. Kath, your 1 minute.
Wait, sir. How do I start it, sir?
You can just be direct at it right away. Anyway, it's not yet for the official format of our debates. So your 1 minute delivery time starts now. Go.
Good afternoon, everyone. I believe that we should remove assignments and homeworks for students because we are already busy in school. In school, we are provided with lots of activities, not to mention difficult, lengthy activities that already take up our time in school. So why do we need to have assignments in our house when we can do it at school? Next would be, we have less time to spend time with our families and friends, making our relationship with the people around us less stable
Okay, wow.
and
Yun ang kilay niyo, guys. I can see you clearly in my ano, in the screen of my cell phone. One by one, kung sino yung salita, malabas ko text. Ganda ng kilay niyo siya kasi.
time to
Ano
realize
yan?
or appreciate and consider other things
Ano
than
yung kilay mo?
school or academic activities.
Pansin ko lang, guys, ikaw ang nakikita dito.
Thank you. Look at your time, Kat.
Hey, kapag Vanessa, ayusin mo yung camera mo, Vanessa.
This is the number of minutes you have consumed, Kat. It's 1 minute and 33 milliseconds. I'm glad that others are doing this.
Go, Vanessa.
Or if you want, you can also do this. Not a combination. Not a combination. You do not do this. Then, we will now give you 1 minute to raise as many questions as you can to whatever it is that Kathy has said. So please make sure that the both of you have been unmuted so that when you raise your question, then Kathy will have the time or the opportunity to answer them. Your 1 minute interpellation starts now. Go.
You have said that we won't be able and we can't find time for our family. This is where time management takes place. How will you practice time management in school and at home when we won't have homework and assignment?
It's choppy, sir.
For a while. Vem, again, Vem. I paused the time. I noted the question already, so I just paused the time so as for you to repeat the question. Go. Please repeat the question, Vem.
Able to find time for. You have said that we won't be able to find time for our family. How will you manage your time for school and for assignment? I mean, for time for your family.
Kathy? Go.
I don't really mean that there will be time for friends and families to interact with each other, thus creating a good relationship. I just meant that there will be less time to share fellowship with each other.
Yeah, I can't hear Kathy. You're messing up with your audio, no? Anyway. Do you still have another question there, Vem? Okay, let's go on with the time. Continue, go.
So how will you practice the lesson further? How will you search for more information? Wherein at school we have, in our experience, the time for subjects aren't enough.
Kath?
We can fix that. During our school time or in school, we can go to the library after dismissal time. We go home at 5 o'clock. We can spend 15 minutes or 30 minutes to go to the library and gather more information. If not in the dismissal time, you can go at recess. Spend at least 5 minutes of your time to gather more information.
Okay.
I think 5 minutes is not enough for gathering information. And then, done, sir?
Yeah, it's all right.
It's
Now,
okay, we can do.
We will now proceed with a 1 minute speech of Vem. So Vem, your turn now is for you to deliver your speech to defend your side on why students should have homeworks and assignments. Your time starts now. Go.
Each of us learns in different ways, needing classmates, teachers, or even parents who are teaching us. Take, for example, a student preferring to hire a tutor so that someone would help him or her with her own assignment and work. And more knowledge, having assignments at home and having more time to research, to gather further information about the discussion. This is also the time when we can ask for help about the certain discussion. We can't expect everyone to understand something immediately. More time means more knowledge to gain. This is a challenge for us to practice time management. If students nowadays still manage to answer homeworks, so why not for tomorrow? For tomorrow, for the future.
Thank you, Vem. Thank you, Vem. Next is for Kathy to raise as many questions as she can in her 1 minute interpellation period. Your time. Yes,
Wait,
Kath?
I still didn't make questions.
By the way, if you don't feel like asking a question or raising a question, but you just want to react to what Vem said or your opposing arguer said, like for instance, the opposing side said this. Actually, this is not true. This is not right. It's wrong because so that the other side can also then react. So feel free to do reactions aside from raising questions. Okay? Your 1 minute interpellation, Kath, starts now. Go.
Bam said that Bam said that other students would prefer to have a tutor to enhance their knowledge and to gather more information. React that we don't. It's not really necessary to have a tutor or to hire a tutor. We have books at school, and we have classmates and friends who can teach us. What I say is that we don't really need, or having a tutor is not really that essential.
But each of us learns in different ways. I think I have mentioned that one. And then if you have assignments and homework at home, of course, homework, you do them at home. I guess you'll have more time to research. Then if you are at home, you the teacher in school, the teacher is the only one teaching you. So if you have homework, your parent or either your sister, your brother, anyone capable of teaching you can also help you.
That's good. Let's give your classmates, let's give Kathy and Vem a round of applause, everyone. So I'd like to ask Vem and Kathy, how does it feel? How does it feel now?
Tip over.
Kath?
Just glad it's over, sir.
What about Vem? How about you, Vem?
I don't know, sir. I feel like, oh my gosh, I can't explain it.
Well, allow me to also give these comments because your classmates might want to also consider the comments that I'll be providing today. While I was listening to the both of you, it gave me that feeling of listening to two very courteous students debate. I, what I mean is, I can't I can't sense any form of of anger because so many debaters insert anger in how they say. Not that they are going to speak angrily, but you could feel from them that they're quite not happy with what the opposing side has said. You sound so courteous and so polite. Like even when Kathy said, uh, I think it is not, it sounded just so kind. You sounded so kind, people. I will not say that it's wrong. Yeah, I will not really say that it's wrong. But sometimes the kindness that we project might just be seen as an opportunity by our opponents for them to really take advantage of us. However, if you try to develop that style, but actually surprise your opponents with your attack later on, now that's a very nice art. Like for instance, you start by saying, hi, actually what we want is, only to find out that later on, no, what it means is that it should. So people would really be surprised. Whoa, we did not expect this. So they'll be caught offhand. And that's your art. That will be your art. Regardless, I'm still happy of the performance you've shown this afternoon. Congratulations. Shalayla just sent a message. She had to go to the restroom because she felt nervous. Shy? Don't worry, Shy. Don't worry. Your turn comes on Thursday. So what's going to happen on Thursday is the FTs will be checked first. After checking the FTs, we'll do the checking of course, a rediscussion or a supplement will come in, but as much as possible, we'll try to do it faster so that we can accommodate as many pairs as we can for this practice debate. And again, congratulations, everyone. For now, if there are no more questions, that will be there's already a banner created by Dave for them. As for the others, don't worry. You will all have your turns for this. You will all have the chance to debate. Are there questions? Do we have some questions? Al is finally back. If there's none, then that would conclude our meeting for today. Goodbye and thank you.
Goodbye and thank you.
Goodbye and
Goodbye
thank you.
and thank you, sir.
Goodbye.